Why? Okay, but why though? Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual 2025 removes orcs and edits Lich terminology to be politically correct towards Jews. This is why you don't let the tourists and activists get involved. You know, the tourists who say, oh, hey guys, that looks really cool. What are you guys playing? Oh, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, could I play? And then they sit down and start demanding that you cater to them. Oh, well, I don't really like the way the story's going. Can we change it? Oh my God, did you just use that term? You do know that's incredibly offensive, right? Those people. Those people. They're not true fans, so they come in and they just completely whine and complain about the terminology and all this other crap, and they write so it doesn't hurt anyone's fifis. Also, Adam. Hello. Hello. Mwah. Good dose of cuteness. Huh. What's on my finger? I don't even know what I have. Oh, is it some of the cat food? Probably. I have some cat food. I had to like, get them food, and you put the food in the bowl and you kind of level it out. And I think that's what he smells on my fingers is food, cat food. Isn't that right, Bub? He's like, yes, that is. That's right, Grandpa. Dungeons and Dragons has been under scrutiny from gamers over the last year because of its new edition turning the fantasy game system into a woke nightmare. Now critics point out that in the 2024 Monster Manual, Wizards of the Coast removed phylacteries from liches because it might be offensive to Jews, and that orcs are missing entirely. So for people who don't know, a phylactery is kind of like, think of it like a Horcrux from Harry Potter. It contains the soul, the essence of the Lich, and they kind of hide it away somewhere. So that way, even if you play World of Warcraft, you have like Kel'Thuzad, who just keeps coming back, no matter how many times we destroy him, because we have no freaking clue where this dude's freaking phylactery is. If we found his phylactery, we would be able to take him out for good. But he's like William Afton. He always comes back. Um, so you have liches who will put their souls and whatever into this phylactery, and then they'll hide it. Usually in a really obvious place, you know, in a temple, in a pyramid, someplace that has incantations around it. If I was a lich, I'd bury it in the middle of the desert, not in a pyramid, just in some inconspicuous place. It's kind of like how the One Ring was able to stay in the Shire for so long, because no one would ever think to look in the Shire, because no one would think that a hobbit would have the Ring of Power. So it was in the most perfect place. It was hidden basically in plain sight, and it was in a place that no one would ever think of looking, because the hobbits are basically, you know, they're looked at like, okay, you're saying a hobbit? Yeah. Okay, right. April Fools. Oh, you got me. So I'm just saying, if I was a lich, I wouldn't be putting it in some dark crypt, or in a pyramid, or behind fancy door with a bunch of incantations. I wouldn't trust any of my cult members to look after it. No, I'd bury it in the fucking desert or something, deep underground where no one can actually find it. You know? But no, unfortunately. But then again, like I said, Kel'Thuzad, that dude's got it right. I mean, if I know he showed up not too long ago, but have we actually ever found his phylactery? I mean, he just keeps coming back. We take him out, and then a few years later, he comes back. He's like, "Oh, I bet you didn't think you'd see me again." And we're like, "Actually, no. How many years has it been?" Okay, yeah, you're right on schedule. But yeah, that's what a phylactery is in the like a fantasy sense like this. Um, With the new edition of D&D, Wizards of the Coast has already courted controversy with their change to the game by adding a diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda on top of their core rulebooks. D&D players, as a result, have been watching their beloved role-playing game of questing and fighting monsters turned into a political cudgel and social conditioning tool for the Hasbro Corporation. Yeah, again, and it all starts with, "Hey guys, can I join your game?" Okay, yeah, sure. Oh, so what are we doing? Yeah, well, we're in a cave right now, and there's an orc. Orc, that's extremely offensive. Can we change it? No, that's what we're up against here. It's an orc. But orcs are just racial stereotypes of black people. No, they're not. So I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna attack, and I need to roll a uh 8 or higher. So I'm gonna you is everyone really okay with this? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, an 8, that's an 8 or higher. That's not too bad. No, orcs, it's extremely racial and insensitive. It starts with that. It starts when you let people like that into your group, and then suddenly they want you to change your entire story and how you play to cater to them. And now it's gone on more to a corporate level where now the entire company is doing that. You know, all the people who cared about the game are are leaving or being forced out, and they're being replaced by those types of people, the tourists, the ones who are like, well, we can't have that. That's incredibly offensive. So, before the new Monster Manual began being promoted in 2024, Dungeon Master's Guide infamously incorporated BDSM fetish community practices for the it's making me feel uncomfortable. For safe spaces, players with X with their arms if they feel triggered by a situation, and requiring a dungeon master to stop the game and address the player in question. Because nothing is more engaging than having someone stop you every few seconds because of how triggered they are, because of a character you're facing or a term that you're using. Because nothing really engages you and immerses you in that world quite like some freaking asshole like, I don't like the language you used. The 2024 player handbook is filled with imagery of BIPOC and female characters as a margin at a margin of more than 5-1 for white male characters, about the direct opposite of the demographics who play the game. Dungeons and Dragons came under further scrutiny after it was revealed senior designer Jason Tondro penned a foreword to a history book on Dungeons and Dragons, calling Gary Gygax misogynistic and accusing him of cultural appropriation. This prompted Elon Musk and blah blah blah. 2024 Monsters Manual has already fallen under player scrutiny after an official Dungeons and Dragons YouTube promotional video reveals strange situations where the monster gender was removed from the game. In the video, Wizards of the Coast designers brag about turning hags, which were traditionally female, into creatures of either sex, along with dryads, another creature that was traditionally female. The succubus and incubus were also turned into transgender. The succubus is a female sex demon, and incubus is a male sex demon. Why do they need to be transgender? Now, as a new article dropped from the contents of the Monster Manual 2025 edition, fans learn that there are more problems with wokeism apparent in the volume. This article reveals that the Lich nomenclature for phylacteries has been removed so as not to be offensive to Jews due to its association with the tefillin, tefillin used in Judaism for prayer, and therefore the word has been replaced with spirit jars. On top of that, sphinxes also have a gender classification removed and are called celestials instead of monstrosities because of how they are depicted in Hinduism and Buddhism, adding yet more political correctness to the game. The most important. Okay, that's hilarious. The most important change to the monster manual is that section on orcs was removed entirely from the new edition, whereas the last edition had four pages of information on the evil monsters, and now they are only mentioned in an appendix table aimed at converting them to new monsters. A racist will see a sword-wielding Urukai intent on destruction, but I see scientists, doctors, and engineers. They're just misunderstood, guys. It's just like other orcs. It's just like they're just out there trying to make a life for their families. You know, the mommy and baby orcs. They're not evil. They're just trying to make a way for their families. It appears as if the monster manual doesn't understand monsters at all in the new woke edition of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, there's also like, the gnolls, instead of the gnolls are attacking, it's like, oh, it's not nice to lump them all in together. So it's like the gnoll bandits are attacking, or something about goblins, I think there was. Um, this is what hobbies are coming to. This crap, this inclusivity and diversity and political correctness has infected every aspect of life. Your hobbies can no longer be enjoyed if you want to use these as an escape, because these people who are now writing this crap are forcing it in. So, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with phylactery. Like, if Blizzard hasn't changed it yet, and they're just as bad, they still have phylacteries. They still have phylacteries. They still have succubus, succubi and incubi. They still have those. If a woke company like Activision Blizzard still has this crap, then there should be no need for Wizards of the Coast to do the same thing. Of changing. Just keep it the way it is. And then you have something as common as orcs not even being really mentioned. It's like, what? Do you know how long orcs have been around as a fantasy villain or fantasy character? It's like, yeah, we're not even going to mention them. This is what happens when you let those people come in, the ones who are like, oh, hey, can I play? Oh, thanks. Oh, and now I demand you guys change the game completely for me because I find what you're doing incredibly offensive. That's what happens when you have a company filled with those kinds of people. And people can sit here and say, John, do you even play? No, I don't need to. I don't need to, because the same crap happening with Wizards of the Coast and D&D is happening in gaming companies. Games that I do play. I know a lot of you play D&D, and that's another reason I'm speaking out against it. Because you guys are just like, I can't even enjoy it anymore. This was something people have... I'm pushing 40, and there are some people who were playing before I was even born. And to have this crap forced into a hobby, a passion that they've been playing for 40, 50, 40 plus years. So I don't need to play it to understand that it's ruining it. I don't need to play it to understand the ramifications of what they're doing and how it's going to affect the players who just want to use it as an escape. But anyway, what do I know? But yeah, that's going to do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.